You want to heal your allies with fire. Utilize the magic of the Emerald Dream. Or rewind harm with the magic of the Bronze Sands. With the brand new Preservation Healing class in WoW Dragonflight, you can do all that and so much more. Hey everyone, Voodoo here. So today we're taking a look at the other half of the new Evoker class coming in Dragonflight. Last week we looked at the DPS half, Devastation, and today we're taking a look at the healing half, Preservation. Now, I'm not a healer by any means, right? I'm a DPS main by heart. I understand the game fairly well in a complex manner, so I'm able to kind of, understand the healing spec, so to speak, but by no means is this a perfect all-around, this is how you should play the class. But I'm going to give you a nice overview, give you my thoughts, give you how it kind of plays, maybe give you some talent builds, and just kind of, let you check it out. Before we begin, please subscribe to the channel. A lot of my viewers aren't subscribed. If we hit 500 before Dragonflight comes out, I'll be doing a giveaway for one of the pre-order bundles. So hit the subscribe button if you like it, and thank you. Now, in terms of healing, Preservation is very similar to some kind of mix between a shaman and a monk. You have these kind of big group healing moments, and you also have the ability to kind of do some single target healing. There is some dot healing that you have on targets that heal them, and you have strong kind of stacked group cooldown stuff. You have some burst, you have some sustain, but you're kind of in the middle, right? You're not really leaning one way super far or the other. You're not really doing these big burst windows like Disc Priest are. You can do some fairly large burst windows with certain setups, but that's not really kind of the main focus of the class. The class itself runs obviously off of mana and also off of essence. Now these are the three essence things. They recharge over time, one at a time, and you have two spells that use them, those being Echo and Emerald Blossom, which we'll get to. You also have abilities, namely Living Flame, which can generate a proc called Essence Burst, which gives you a free use of one of your essence spells. We'll see if I can proc one. I don't know if I can. Oh, there we go. It looks like that. It's like clear casting, and you can get a free use. Doesn't use any essence. So that's kind of their base kind of resource system. In terms of talents, they have a really wide array of kind of utility. They have Time Spiral and Blessing of the Bronze, which are... Blessing of the Bronze gives you lower cooldown on your movement speed. Time Spiral gives you a free cast of it. They have stuff like Fly With Me, which is like you can move an ally to a different location. They have Source of Magic, which is a healer mana cooldown. You give this to another healer, and every time you use an Empower spell, they restore 0.5% of their maximum mana per Empower level. There's tons of these that you're casting with one of the builds, so this is a large amount of mana every 15 to 30 seconds. They have damage options. They have a really powerful personal. They have basically Dwarf Racial on an external. So they have some good stuff. Now, I will say one of their downsides is they do have a 25-yard range. This is unique, shared in the Evoker class. I can't target the train dummy from this far away. A normal ranged character would be able to. But if I go closer to 25, then you can use it. They share a lot of spells overlap with the regular Evoker class. They have Azure Strike as well, which is your instant. They have Disintegrate, which you almost never use, except maybe at the start of pull to kind of get your essence recovering when it's not going to heal. They have Deep Breath as well, the big AoE strafing run ability, and they have Living Flame. Living Flame is really cool because it is both a DPS and a healing button. So I can target this character, DPS them, target this guy, and heal them. There's lots of options you have within this tree itself as well to kind of tailor what you want to do. Right, you have Sleepwalk, which is a hard CC that moves stuff. You can go into Zephyr, which is a party-wide damage reduction and a movement speed. I'm not level 70, so I'm missing 2 talent points here and 1 talent point here, but that's whatever. Fly With Me is very strong. You have Twin Guardian. You have the ability to get like an Enrage Dispel with like increased CC. You have an Interrupt if you want to take that. So you have tons of options. There's a Root. Honestly, their CC is probably one of the strongest parts of their kit. Oh, they also just have a Knockback and a Knock Up. So they have a lot of different CC options, and it's one of the strongest parts of their kit, I would say. Now, in terms of the spec itself, this is their spec tree. The gates are as follows. Let me just unclick some buttons. So you kind of have to take Reversion, and you end up taking basically everything in these top rows here. Reversion is your basic dot, so I can show you what that looks like. So Reversion, you put it on an ally, and it heals them over time, healing for however many seconds. And whenever it crits, the duration of it is actually extended, which is really cool and really interesting. It's hasted cooldown as well. Dream Breath is similar to your Fire Breath ability, which you share with Devastation. So that's Fire Breath. This is Dream Breath, much wider arc, and it heals. And the thing with Dream Breath, it does have empowerment levels, but the difference in healing between 1 and 3 isn't too big. What does change is the cooldown. So if you do level 1, you get a 25-second cooldown, but level 3 is a 15-second cooldown. So most of the time you want to be just slamming that level 3 like that. So let's see, shorter cooldown. Other things you get here, time temporal compression. Whenever you use a bronze spell, your next empower reaches max faster. Essence Burst, which is what I showed at the beginning. Living Flame has a chance to make your next Essence ability free. And then Echo. Echo is one of your main Essence spenders, the other being Emerald Blossom, which is baseline. Echo is really interesting. So it costs 2 Essence, and what it does is you cast it on a target, and you can have more than one out. So we'll put it on this guy as well. And the next time I cast a single target healing ability, so we'll target myself, we'll do Reversion. It casts on those targets as well. See how he also has a version, and they also have a version. Now, this does work with Living Flame as well. So if I cast Living Flame on this damaging target dummy, oh, sorry, I meant to cast it on myself as a healing spell. It will also copy over to them. And there's going to be an interesting interaction with that, which we'll get to. This is your major raid cooldown, Rewind. So basically what this does, it's an instant. It looks at the last 50% of damage taken by the raid, for each ally, of course. And then it heals for that amount, heals for half of the damage done, over, I believe it's a 5-second dot. And this is doubled when you're not in raid. So if you fly up here and damage myself, let me just trigger this. Beat up, boop, boop, boom. We drop, I'm going to take damage. Then I slam my cooldown. It's going to heal me for half of that damage I just took over a few seconds, see? So it's quite powerful, honestly. It's a really powerful raid kind of cooldown, as long as you take big spikes of damage. It's not as good against like longer, prolonged damage. But if you take a big spike and then like some dots over 5 seconds, it's going to be pretty strong for that. You also get a tank external, time dilation. This can be put on a target. And basically it makes them take 50% of the damage delayed over time. So it's like stagger for 8 seconds. Basically while this is out, the target can't die. Giver's Flame just turns your Fire Breath into a damaging ability. Healing ability over there. From here you have tons of options. Now there's 2 primary builds. There's kind of a Essence Bloom build and an Echo build. The thing with Essence Bloom and Echo is you kind of don't want to be doubling up on your Essence spenders, right? You kind of want to use one or the other. Just so that you're not kind of spreading yourself too thin with the essence that you're using. So we're going to look at the Echo build first, and then I'll show you guys the Essence build. So again, tons of different options how you can spend stuff. But the main crux of the Echo build is Spirit Bloom. Spirit Bloom is a channeled ability. It's a empower ability, sorry. That the more you empower it, the more allies it heals to. And this can be procced and empowered further with different talents. So for this kind of build, we're just going to take Spiritual Clarity. It reduces its cooldown. We'll take Essence Strike. We're not going to use it, but we come down here for Life Force Mender for extra damage and healing on Flame and Fire Breath. We'll take Golden Hour. We'll take Time Lord just so we can be down here. Call of Ysera. And really, you could take wherever you want. I'm going to take Time of Need just because it's there. You could take Emerald Communion. You could take an improvement to your time dilation. There's a few options you could have. We'll just grab this one. From here, ideally I would have one more point, but I do not. So we want to grab Font of Magic if we can. We want to grab Grace Period. We want to grab Stasis. This is really powerful. And then ideally you'd either go down and grab one of these other 2 capstones. You want to grab kind of Temporal Artificer, which makes your raid CD a little bit shorter. And then Timeless Magic. Cycle of Life isn't going to really be used. Timeless Magic is really good because it gives us more time on Time Dilation, Reversion, and Echo. Alternatively, you could also come down this path and grab Dreamflight. We're just going to drop Font of Magic for now just to pick up Dreamflight, just to show you what it's like. But this build could also come down this other way. You do want to take Font of Magic. You also would want to come down this way. It's very flexible to what you want to do. This gives us access to a few new abilities. This gives us access to Dreamflight, a very powerful 1-minute cooldown, which is not capped, and just puts a large blanket heal on everything you heal. Those are super efficient on mana. It makes our mana, this makes our mana cost less. This makes Rescue increase the effectiveness of Dream Breath or Living Flame. Rescue is this ability we have. which you target an ally, fly to them, and heal them. There's an issue with that we'll touch on at the end of the video. And then you just have stuff. Echo replicates more healing. This makes, when you an ally fall below X health, a vision of you enters the battlefield, the timeline, and like heals stuff and continues to heal people. And then this is really why we're here. Stasis is incredibly cool, but we'll get there in a second. So the crux of this, of the Echo build, is this Spirit Bloom. So this interaction here, we'll throw out some Echoes on people. We'll put one on this guy, put one on this guy, and we'll just pretend that I have another one and put one on this guy. And then we're going to rip a big Spirit Bloom. Boom. So if you guys just saw that, basically what happened is I cast this Empowered Spirit Bloom, which put out a single target heal on this guy, and then healed 3 other targets. However, the way Echo works with that, and this could be a bugged interaction, and if that's true, then this build will lose some power, is that it makes this Empowered Spirit Bloom also heal 3 other allies when it echoes. So this one heals 3 other allies, this one heals 3 other allies, and then this one would heal 3 other allies. So you can have just this Giga raid-wide raid healing every basically 15 seconds whenever you throw out your Echoes on people. We'll just throw out a Spirit Bloom, and boom, I'm healing 9 targets for like 25,000 damage. You also have Dream Breath to kind of fill in there. You have your Reversion to throw out on people. Echo works with Reversion in a pretty interesting way. So if I throw out some Echoes, we'll just wait a little bit, we'll do some damage. If I throw out Reversion on myself, it'll also go on these people, but this is a different one. You can actually double dip with Reversion. So if you notice, we'll compare them. This Reversion looks different than this Reversion, so you can double dip there, and that's pretty interesting. That's pretty much it for this build. You have really powerful abilities such as Rewind, which just heals everything and has a minimum. You have Dream Breath, you have Dream Flight, and you also have this other 1.5 minute cooldown, Stasis. So Stasis is really cool, so we're going to pop it. Stasis, basically, whenever I push it, the next 3 healing spells I do will kind of be remembered and then replicated. So we're going to cast this Empowered Dream Breath. We're going to cast this Spirit Bloom on this guy, and then we'll put, I don't know, we'll put Reversion on that guy. Ideally, you want to spend this with Empowered spells or with Essence Spenders. I just put Reversion for the show. Once that's up, once you use all 3 of them, this goes into a 30-second kind of buff. You can see I have the 3 orbs on my head. And then when I let it go, I will cast the exact same 3 spells I did, remembering their targets and remembering kind of their empowerment level as well. So I just slam that. I throw out everything again. See, so we got another Reversion. We did the Dream Breath. And there was a Spirit Bloom that went out on him. Or, yeah, Spirit Bloom, I think. Yeah, Spirit Bloom. So it's a really cool ability on a really short cooldown. It's like build your own Convoke, so to speak. I think it's going to be really powerful, especially in conjunction with some of these other things. Like you can pre-ramp with Echoes, then you can slam your Stasis. I'm not pushing it right now, but whatever. Put out Spirit Bloom, put out Dream Breath, and then hit them with, I don't know, Emerald Blossom, even though you don't really want to do that in this build. So that's that. I think the class itself in terms of healing is really interesting. It's kind of fun, and it feels pretty powerful. The combination of being able to use kind of Living Flame as your healing top-up, as well as a damaging ability, is really sick. You also have stuff in the class tree, like Scarlet Adaptation, which the more healing you do, the more damage your next thing does. And same with Leaping Flames. Fire Breath causes your next Living Flame to strike 1 additional target per empowerment level. So we do Fire Breath. Now, the thing with this, we have this buff here, is that if it runs out of either friendly or hostile targets, so if I target a hostile and it runs out of hostiles, or I target a friendly and it runs out of friendlies, it will hit the next available one. So this will hit this guy and 2 of these allies, and if I do it again, it's not off cooldown, but if I hit these things, it'll hit these 2 guys and then heal this guy. So that was the Echo build, based around the interaction between Echo and Spirit Blossom. Now we're going to take a look at the other possible raid build, which is the Emerald Blossom build. So this one, we want to switch out Spiritual Clarity for Empath, just so we can get some more. We don't really care about the cooldown as much on Spirit Blossom. We want to pick up these talents, Fluttering Seedlings and Field of Dreams. Fluttering Seedlings basically sends out 3 flying things that heal allies. And then Field of Dreams gives those seedlings a 30% chance to proc another Emerald Blossom. Now the thing is that for each round of seedlings you throw out, it'll only proc 1 blossom if this happens. So if one of those seeds gets the 30% chance to proc again, the other 2 won't, no matter what you do. And this can technically chain infinitely. You can go forever on this thing. It is possible. I think the most I've seen is 5, but you can get some pretty powerful stuff, especially with stasis. Then you come down here and you can kind of pick whatever you want. You can go down this way. We'll just grab this, put our 3 here, put our 3 here, and get 1 there. This is a very interesting build for the Emerald Blossom. You also could grab Dragonflight, just because how powerful Dragonflight is. What Cycle of Life does is that Emerald Blossom leaves behind a little sprout, which gathers 5% healing, and then it explodes and heals targets, splitting it evenly, which is literally just Cloudburst totem from Shaman, which is a super powerful ability. So we'll show you this. Now in this one, you don't want to be using Echo as much. You still can use Echo, but the thing with Echo is it won't proc an extra Emerald Blossom. So a really powerful setup for this is we hit our stasis, right? We throw out Emerald Blossom, we Emerald, whatever, Dream Breath, and then we can actually throw out another Emerald Blossom, and then if we rip our stasis, so you can see it shoots them out, we'll throw out 2 Blossoms and a Dream Breath. So we can see it explodes again, and we have all these seeds up here that will gather healing done. So we'll do this, grab that there, put out some reversions, just pretend we're healing stuff. Then those will proc and heal everybody. And look, we just got another bounce there. So you can see the kind of the Emerald Blossom will kind of bounce around and do a bunch of healing to people. I don't think this build would be as powerful if Spirit Blossom stays the way that it works currently, with it kind of proccing with Echo. I just think the Echo benefit is really powerful. And it's just way too strong to kind of give up. But this is a really strong kind of raid healing thing, right? If you need that kind of stacked group healing on a shorter cooldown than the 15 seconds for Spirit Blossom. It's also a lot easier to play. You really just slam Spirit Blossom whenever it's off. You keep your reversions up, and then you use your other stuff as it comes off cooldown, right? So it's not very difficult, but it is still fun. Just seeing these Emerald Blossoms kind of fly around the battlefield while you're casting stuff is really fun to watch. So they're just kind of popping up everywhere and healing a bunch. And look at all these Cycle of Lives I have. So that's kind of that other build there. But I do think that the previous build is still strong, possibly stronger. But the added benefit with Stasis, kind of popping that every minute and a half and just getting the big kind of Emerald Blossom, Dream Breath / Spirit Bloom, and then another Emerald Blossom is going to be a lot of burst healing like that. Especially if this kind of Spirit Blossom interaction, which I suspect isn't intended, goes away. So that's kind of that deal there. And then in terms of DPS rotation, you're just Living Flame. I didn't mean to echo, but Living Flame, Fire Breath, Living Flame. If you truly need to slam your Essence, like there's no healing, you can use a Disintegrate. Generally, I wouldn't recommend that unless you really just don't have any healing to do, but you know, options there. So in terms of M+ builds for the class, really what you want to do is just drop some options here to pick up some more damage. So you want to go in and grab the Quell and Suffuse with Power. You don't really need Source of Magic. You don't really need Time Spiral, but you can take it. You grab the Dispel there. You want to grab Source of Magic. You can drop stuff like Bountiful Bloom, grab another Source of Magic, stuff like that. Over here, there's some interesting stuff. Emerald Blossom definitely loses out on its utility when you're in kind of those lower target count scenarios in dungeons and stuff. So you don't really want to take Cycle of Life. You don't really want to take Timeless Magic per se. But the most powerful thing you can do is coming down to grab this talent here, Timekeeper. In dungeons, Reversion is going to be kind of one of your biggest healers, especially when coupled with Grace Period, which increases your healing on your targets by 15%. Giving it 2 charges really means that you can heal kind of a lot more and a lot kind of an increased load, so to speak. So it's really not that surprising to just be able to have a bunch of reversions out. And it's also, I won't be surprised if you don't end up taking capstones in dungeons. Other really good stuff that might be worth it in dungeons, if we just unselect all this junk. Obviously you want to take Delay Harm. It's a really powerful time dilation benefit, which makes it go over 70% of the damage instead of 50%, which basically makes all your tanks unkillable. You can drop out these. I guess you want Golden Hour, but you can drop out those to go down here and grab Temporal Anomaly instead if you want. The thing with Temporal Anomaly is that it does take a lot of mana, so you do have to be careful with that. Basically how Temporal Anomaly works, I'll start my bar here, is that it will fly out in a straight line, and stop and slow down on the first damaged ally it hits. Now, because none of these people are here are damaged, it's not going to stop in any of them. We'll see if I can damage myself and get it shown to you guys. It's like Frozen Orb in that sense. Damage it, throw it out. Okay, it doesn't count me, but you can get it stuck on kind of walls and stuff, and then it will slowly move. It does heal for a good bit while it's out there, but it is super mana hungry. And when you take that, you might also want to take Emerald Communion, which is a castable thing that restores health and mana over 10 seconds. It equals about, over 5 seconds. It equals about 20% health and 10% mana. Timekeeper, again, one of your best abilities. Timeless Magic, really good. You can take Font of Magic. You come down here, Grace Period. And then if you have another point, you could kind of slam it in Stasis at the bottom here. You can slam it in maybe less mana. You can come this way. I guess you can't really come this way, but you can put points in here and come down and grab Sacral Empowerment and Exhilarating Burst, which is essentially whenever you use up 4 stacks of this, you gain Essence Burst. And whenever you use that Essence Burst, you gain a bunch of crit. 20%. So this has been nerfed. It used to be 50%, but that's also a build you could do. But generally, I think the bronze side will be your more likely AoE Mythic Plus kind of build. You get a bunch of damage from just having your Fire Breath damaging. Where are the AoE dummies? They're over here. You get a bunch of damage from just having your Fire Breath, right? You just shoot this out, shoot it out, and then your Living Flame kind of cleaves. It doesn't work on cleaving if you hit multiple targets right now. It's really weird. But that would cleave, that should cleave, and you'd be able to get a bunch of damage and healing out that way. Put Echoes out, and then you slam your Reversions to just heal people. And that's really what the Mythic Plus is going to be. Kind of like Shaman. So to end off the video, I'm going to talk about kind of a few issues that I have with the class. One of the things is that really you're only taking this orb over here to kind of not take Time Lord, just so you can come down into Time of Need and Timekeeper faster. The fact that it costs so much mana isn't really where you want to be. Now, in a dungeon, as long as this does work the way it should, where it kind of catches on the first injured ally, it can do a lot of healing, and it could be useful to pick that up. Another big issue is kind of over just down here. These are all 3-point talents. If you make these 2, this tree will be so much better. It's already really good, but these being 3 points really limits on what you do at the bottom. This talent also will never be taken. Disintegrate generates 1200 mana over its duration. That is a measly amount of mana. You almost never want to be pushing Disintegrate. You almost never want to be wasting your essence like that. And the amount of mana it generates is just so small. For reference, I'm at 154k mana, and I'm not even max level or remotely well geared. Only 283. So this amount of mana is literally nothing. Like, it's so abysmally low, I don't even know how I can explain it to you guys. The last big issue is kind of on their range. So they are a 25-yard range healer, which a lot of times when there's stacked things won't be too bad, but they have big issues with kind of healing a spread raid. If you're in between kind of the melee and range stat, you will be able to reach both of them. But the big issue comes with Rescue. So Rescue is something that you want to be using on cooldown because of Call of Ysera, which increases the effectiveness of Dream Breath and Living Flame. So you want to be using this basically every 17 seconds so you can get the increased Living Flame or increased Dream Breath. But when you do this and you go to one of your 2 allies in either the melee or the range stack, you remove yourself from the range of those other allies, right? So I don't know if I can reach. Let's test this. So if one of them's over here, great. So I go back here, I can't reach that guy. So I go over here, I use Rescue. I'm over here or with this guy now, and now I can't heal the rogue that was way over there by me, right? So there's that kind of issue with this 25-yard range, and an issue with tying your kind of big movement cooldown to the Call of Ysera talent. And you do want to be taking Call of Ysera. It's a big damage gain, it's a big healing gain, and it also unlocks the ability to go down in these deeper trees. A last kind of general complaint is that they're fairly squishy. I'm not taking their incredibly strong cooldown over here because I just don't have the talents because I'm not level 70, right? But Renewing Blaze is really their only good cooldown. Obsidian Scales is fine. Magic damage taken by 20% is good, but armor by 200% isn't that big of a physical damage reduction. It's also on a long cooldown, and while you can put a point here, it is very fight dependent on or dungeon dependent on if you want to put that point there. Renewing Blaze is very powerful in a scenario where that healing, can be used. But overall, right, those are really my only complaints with the class. I think Maybe they can do something better for the empower spells to make them a little bit kind of stronger when you do empower them. Like stuff like this with Spirit Bloom only healing more allies. It's kind of weird. Same with Dream Breath is just having less cooldown instead of a greatly increased healing. The other thing is that you do get really punished if you kind of don't fully empower spells or if you cancel them before you do the first thing. So I canceled it there. Because you end up wasting the GCD and another GCD at the end. So it costs a GCD to start channeling. And then once I cast it, it costs another GCD at the end, which if can be canceled by kind of spamming a button. But if you spam it too fast, then you end up just canceling your empowerment spell like I did there and not getting the free cast off. So I'll show you again. So I do Dream Breath. When it's at the end before I release it, I want to spam 2, and if I fuck that up, then I lose the GCD. If I don't spam anything, I let it go, it's another GCD. So it's kind of a 2 GCD investment into these empowered spells that kind of isn't being rewarded as much as it should be. Alright, so that is it for me today, guys. That's kind of my preliminary kind of review over the Preservation Evoker. I actually think the Evoker class, in general, both Preservation and Devastation, are really fun, and they're fairly unique ways of healing, both in dungeons and in raids, and I think they're going to bring something super powerful to groups that you find yourselves in with them. So leave a comment down below if you liked it. You know, let me know your thoughts, how I did. Maybe I'm stupid and I'm missing something. Maybe I had great options here. Subscribe if you enjoyed it. Again, trying to do a giveaway if I hit over 500 subs before Alpha comes out, so that'd be great. And also leave a like. Engagement super important for small channels like mine, and I really appreciate it. So thank you guys, and have a good one.